Today we're going to do radical equations. If you have a is equal to b, then a squared is equal to b squared. If you square one side, you can square the other and they remain equal. Remember, what you do to one side, as long as you do it to the other, it remains equal. If you have the square root of x is equal to 4, then what we can do is we can square it like they've done here. That eliminates the square root, the radical sign, and so all you're left with is x, because square and square root cancel each other out. So x is equal to 4 squared. All right? Any questions?
So
if you work this out, 4 squared is 16. X equals 16. What's the square root of 16?
4.
There you go. So x must be 16. Yeah. Write this down. We have the square root of a plus 5 plus 7 equals 12. Before I can get rid of the square root, the radical sign, what I've got to do is I've got to get it to where this is the only thing on the left side. So I subtract 7 to both sides. I have the square root of a plus 5 is equal to 5. Now I can square root both sides. If I had done it earlier, I would have had the square root 7, and I don't want to do that. Or I would have to square 7. Because when you square one side, you have to do everything on that side. So here, the square root of a plus 5 squared is a plus 5. What is 5 squared? 25. So we subtract 5 to both sides. A is equal to 20. If you want to check your answer, plug it in there. 20 plus 5 is 25. What's the square root of 25?
5.
What's 5 plus 7? 12. So A must be 20. Write this down. Square root of c minus 3 minus 2 is equal to 4. So I want to get the square root, the radical sign by itself. So I add 2 to both sides. The square root of c minus 3 is equal to 6. So I square both sides. That gives me c minus 3 over here. That gives me 36 on the other side. I add 3. And c is equal to 39, which if I plug that in for c, all right, it works. Any questions? 4 plus the square root of h plus 1 is equal to 14. What is the first thing I have to do? Someone raise your hand. I subtract 4. Good. I'm left with square root of h plus 1 is equal to 10. Someone raise your hand. Tell me what I do after that. Luke. I square both sides. I'm left with h plus 1 here. I'm left with 100 here. And then what, Luke?
Minus 1.
Subtract 1. H is equal to 99. I can put it in for h and it would be true. Any questions? Write this down. Square root of k plus 1 is equal to k minus 1. Okay, I've got the radical sign by itself, so I can go ahead and square both sides, which means I have to square k minus 1. So I have k plus 1 over here. Here, if I square it, means I have k minus 1 times k minus 1, which we know when you do that, you get this, which it would be k squared minus 2k plus 1. Remember, that is a perfect square trinomial.
I thought you subtracted it.
And then we have to get k on one side. Or what we want to do is we want to get 0 on one side. So I subtract 1. I also subtract k because I want to get 0 on one side. That gives me k squared minus 3k. Is there anything I can factor out of k squared minus 3k? K. Which would be what's left? K minus 3. Right? And then I solve both of those, where I do 0 is equal to k, and I do k minus 3 is equal to 0. So I'd add 3. My two answers are 0 and 3. Any questions? Now that you have these two answers, okay, you think you're done, but what you have to do is you actually have to check. You have to plug 0 in here for k, and then you have to plug 3 in for k. When we do that, which I'm going to erase all this so I have some room to work. Remember, you had 0 and 3 as your two possible answers. What I do is I plug in 0 here. What is 0 plus 1? 1. Okay, square root of 1 plus 0 minus 1. What's square root of 1? It's 1. Does 1 equal negative 1?
No.
No, so 0 can't be an answer. 0's out because it doesn't make it true. So then what we do is we plug in 3. So we do square root of 3 plus 1 equal 3 minus 1. What is 3 plus 1?
4.
What's the square root of 4?
2.
What's 3 minus 1?
3.
2. Does 2 equal 2?
Yes.
Yes, that is true. So 3 is the only correct answer.
So whenever you have a 0.
All right, make sure you read directions. Directions are going to say solve this and check your solution, meaning make sure you don't have an extra answer that's not right. They call it an extraneous solution. It's not actually a solution, even though it gives you one. So I square both sides, trying to get rid of the radical sign. That leaves me with t plus 5 here. This, okay, t plus 3 squared is the same thing as t plus 3 times t plus 3, which gives me t squared plus 6t plus 9. All right? If you need to FOIL it, that's okay. But you know this is a perfect square trinomial. So it's the first thing squared plus 2 times the first thing times the second thing with the second thing squared. Then we want to get 0 by itself. So I subtract 5 to both sides. And I subtract t to both sides. That gives me 0 is equal to t squared plus 5t minus plus 4, right? So that when I factor this gives me t plus 4 and t plus 1, because those would both add to give me 5 and multiply to give me 4. So when I solve for that, I split each one up. That gives me negative 4 and negative 1. Now let's erase it so I have some room to work. All right. More to go. I didn't erase it.
Wait, so it's negative 4 and negative 1?
Mm-hmm. Negative 1 and negative 4.
Does it matter on the order?
No, it doesn't matter what order you put it in. So let's try negative 4. Negative 4 plus 5 is what? 1. What's square root of 1? 1. Is 1 equal to negative 4 plus 3?
Yeah.
1 is equal to negative 1?
No.
No, so negative 4 is out. Let's plug in negative 1. Negative 1 plus 5 is what? 4. Okay, what's square root of 4?
2.
What is negative 1 plus 3?
Positive 2.
Positive 2. 2 equals 2, so negative 1 is my answer. X minus 3 equals the square root of x minus 1. So I square both sides to get rid of the radical sign. That leaves me with x minus 1 on the right side. On the other side, I just do x minus 3 times x minus 3. This gives me x squared minus 6x plus 9. Alright? And then I just try and get 0 on one side. So I subtract x and I add 1. That gives me x squared is equal to negative 7x plus 10 equal to 0. So what? Multiplies to give me 10, adds to give me 7. Negative 7. How about negative 2 and negative 5? So I do x minus 2 is equal to 0, which gives me x is equal to 2. And x minus 5 is equal to 0, which gives me x equals 5. Everybody with me so far?
Yes.
So let me delete this so we have some room to work. I had 5 and 2. Was that my two answers?
Yes.
Plug those in. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So what's the square root of 1? 1. Is that equal to negative 1?
No.
No. So 2's out. Now we do 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. 5 minus 1 is 4. What's square root of 4? 2. Does 2 equal 2?
Yeah.
So 5 is the only answer that works for x. Any questions?
So,
Here's your homework assignment.